All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly show. We like to call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We are going to pick a 4-race sequence from that track and attempt to come up to a consensus on a pick 4 ticket. Thank you for joining us, and we are headed back to New York, where we're going to be playing the all-stakes pick 4 from Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. The pick 4 starts with race number 8 and finishes in race number 11. It's the Belmont Stakes. And they are all 4 grade 1s. My name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. All right, this week he's back on his home turf. Mr. Ray Tirado is joining us from Staten Island, New York. So, Ray, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good. Getting excited for tomorrow. Be a nice day. Got a lot of races there.
Oh, boy, I know. Big card, big card.
Big
All
card.
right. And all the way over from the other side of the country in Temecula, California. And in my opinion, he's making a bid for Father of the Year this year in 2016. He's now going to be skipping the best day in racing for his daughter's birthday party. So happy birthday to his daughter, Lily, first of all. And how are you doing, Joe English?
I'm good, Rich. Thanks. Yeah, I guess I don't really have choices in certain situations.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me Father of the Year or just a regular dad. And I just want to add one more thing. Was there really ever any doubt at this point which card we were going to do this week?
Only 3 no-brainers every year.
Yeah.
This is the
actually, no, I'd say 4. The 2, well, actually, yeah, 3. The Breeders, because I guess I'm thinking the 2 Breeders' Cups, but we only do the Saturday ones. So yeah, I guess.
All right. And let me see.
Well, the good ones are the ones that we win.
Yeah. Like last week. Ding 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 ding
Like
ding.
last
Ding.
week.
Not that it was a big deal, but it was a small investment, and we made about 7 to 1.
Yep.
So I'm not going to object to that. Kudos to you guys.
An increase is always good.
Mm-hmm.
No, thank you, Joe. Thanks for bringing that up, actually, because we did hit our pick 4 last week, so over there in Pennsylvania. And let me see here if I can bring up my video that I want to share.
And if we were there, we'd leave it in the casino.
Yeah. Well, we did kind of get lucky because the one horse we did want to run actually scratched, but the other part of the entry bailed us out. So sometimes I'll take those. Unfortunately there seem to be too many more tough beats and bad beats as opposed to beats as to good things happening. So let's take it. I'm not throwing the money back. I'm spending it.
Right. Invest.
I think, as we said, a little bit better to be lucky than good. So
always.
As I said earlier, my name is Rich Sharp, and I'm going to be sharing here a few photos. Training facility at San Luis Rey Downs, and this is their training track. It's a 1-mile surface. There's actually 2 of them. There's an interior and an exterior, and the exterior is a 1-mile surface.
That's pretty cool.
That was. So as I kind of shared as I shared a little bit earlier today, me and Joe managed to have lunch today. I spent my week at what can best be described as kind of summer camp for horse players. I went to the San Luis Rey Training Center in Bonsall, California. So I wanted to thank the general manager. His name is Kevin Habel, and Umberto, and Amanda, and Sean, and everybody else who made me feel so welcome at the beautiful facility. I got to meet several trainers, including Cliff Size, who you saw pictured there, Scott Hansen, and Pete Miller. And I got to see some of the best horses in the country working out at a world-class training facility. So it's the San Luis Rey Downs Training Facility in Bonsall, California. And it was a real pleasure to be there. So let me go ahead and I'll stop my screen share.
How far is that from you?
You know, it was about 20 minutes away from me, and as I shared with Joe today, I think it's even closer. It's only about maybe 10, 15 minutes away from him.
Really? Wow.
So
Nice.
maybe next time you get out here, Ray, we can all go out there and take a visit.
Yeah, Rich and I were planning on going on Sunday morning. At some point Sunday, hopefully.
I think they might be closed on Sunday. I think
okay.
they may not do any training on Sunday. I shouldn't say closed. They're never closed, but I don't think they do any on Sunday. So.
Okay.
All right. Now we're going to go ahead and turn our attention to Big Sandy. That's Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. It's the Belmont Stakes card, and outside of the Breeders' Cup, it is the single most lucrative racing day in the United States. We're going to take a look at the local weather, and for that, I am going to hand off to my buddy Joe.
Thanks, Rich. I'm no Jackie Garrido or Yannette Garcia, but I'll do the best I can. Tomorrow's card, tomorrow in Elmont, it looks like the day's going to begin under cloudy skies. It's going to progressively get worse, according to the Weather Channel, the weather.com website. The scattered thunderstorms that they're predicting don't expect to start until about 3 p.m. local time. Now, the problem for us is that the pick for the first race in our sequence, race 8, the Just a Game, starts at about 4 o'clock local time. So you're going to have to handicap accordingly and prepare for the possibility of some wet weather. Rich, I see that we've hit the guarantee for this show, so I guess they're loading for the first race. Is it up to you now?
Well, yeah, I think we're back to me. We've got a total of 13 races on the tab for the card tomorrow. There are 10 stakes races, if you can believe that, and 6 Grade 1s on tap for Saturday. Tonight, we are just focused on the Pick 4, and that begins in race number 8 with the Just a Gem. And it concludes with the Belmont Stakes in race number 11. As I like to say each and every week, gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. Shall we go ahead and get started?
I got my goggles on, ready for the rain. Let's go.
They're all in line.
All right, let's see here. Race number 8, and you know what? Let me make sure I present to everyone before I get going here. All right, race number 8. It is the Longines Just a Gem handicap. Let me get over here. Let me click here. 1 mile on the Widener turf course. It is a Grade 1 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upwards. The purse is $700,000. 13 starters, and your morning line favorite in post number 7. It's Mrs. McDougal for trainer Chad Brown at 4-1. So, Ray, we're in your backyard, so go ahead. You have the honor, sir.
All right. In our first Pick 4, we're going to try and spread around because we'll try and stay alive here. On this turf course, I usually like to look for speed. And kind of like an inside post, as you can see, the race does start on a little bit of a turn. So the wider posts kind of have a little bit disadvantage, not too much, but slight. So I'm looking here at Miss Sophia, morning line 8-1. She should improve from her May debut, where she opened up a few nice lead with swift fractions. She tied late. She cuts back to a mile and should run well here with Mike Smith. She's one of the few who's been competitive in Grade 1 races. I'll use also number 7, the morning line favorite, Mrs. McDougal. She had a nice debut at Aqueduct, perhaps her best race to date. Leading rider Jose Ortiz stays aboard for Chad Brown, and they're 2 for 2 at the distance. Also number 12, we'll use morning line 5-1. She wasn't closing on Tepin on Derby Day, but no one was. But she did beat the rest of the field, a nice effort. When she makes her move, there'll be no Tepin to chase down and Castellano ride, so they're pretty happy that Tepin's not in this race. Also, I'd like to mention 3 horses that come out of a very fast Bouguet handicap race. We got Strike Charmer, 8-1, Tapestry, 15-1, and number 2, Receptor, 6-1, kind of like on my B list. Strike Charmer won the race over Tapestry with Receptor a closing 3rd. So if we go very deep, I got 6 horses here lined up. So my A's are 5, 7, and 12, and my B's are 1, 3, and 2. All right, Joe, what you got to say about the Just a Game stakes? 1 mile on the turf.
Well, it's funny because I do a PowerPoint for every week, and I actually I titled this week's races, and the title for this week's race was Thank the Lord that Teppan is running at Royal Ascot so that one of us can win a Grade 1. So, that being said, Ray, we're on, completely separate pages. My top choice, actually, I went with a deep closer. Went with the number 10. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. Farfalle is what I'm going to guess. I'm not sure exactly. I'll let Larry Colemas deal with that tomorrow, given that the field stays intact, of course. The trainer and jockey combination is one that's probably less known, Graham Motion and Drayden Van Dyke, but it has a positive ROI in a medium sample size. And the horse is 7 for 8 in the money at the distance, and she's going to need some pace help. But based on the way the field currently sits, I think there's going to be enough pace so that she'll be able to run them down if she needs to. When the money's on the line. My second choice was actually number 8, Celestine, who is at 12-1 in the morning line, a horse that I think remember from back at Gulfstream. She was the 4th choice that day in the Honey Fox that she won. She was able to rate previously when she defeated horses that I know Rich knows about, Sunset Glow, and Ray knows about Lady Shipman back in May of 2015. She's got a strong bullet work over the Saratoga training track on June 6th, 4 furlongs and 47 and 4. She should be clear of any traffic, basically, because she's going to have an outside post. She should be able to sit outside the speed if there's any speed inside of her. Otherwise, if they don't go, she'll go to the lead herself. And she's 2 for 2 at Belmont. And my third choice was a horse that Ray did mention, Recepta, who had some early trouble last time out in the Beaugay. And she was probably a little further back than she's used to being because she had that trouble. She's 5 of 6 in the money at the distance. This is her 3rd race in the form cycle. And she also has a good bullet work over the Belmont turf on the 4th of June, 4 furlongs and 48 and 2. Believe me, Ray, I know I'm with the other the horses that you have as your A's are basically my B's. I went with Strike Charmer, Miss McDougal, the other Chad Brown runner from Post 12. I also wanted to mention, especially given the weather forecast that I talked about, a horse that I actually had overlooked until just a few minutes before we got on. Until once Rich said, "Joe, you're going to do the weather," I said, "Okay, if I'm going to do the weather, let me look to see if there's any horses, especially in the turf races, that are going to benefit from the weather." And I looked at Irish Rookie, and she's been running in Grade 1 and Grade 2s, and she just ran in a grade, I want to say a Grade 2 last time out and finished 2nd by 2 lengths over yielding course. So this might actually work out to her advantage, and she's 10-1 in the morning line. It was the Grade 2 Ridgewood Pearl, who I think was a Breeders' Cup mile winner back in the day, probably in the early 2000s. So I think she's going to have an advantage. If you look, she's also run 2 other races on soft turf, 2nd by 3/4 of a length in a Grade 1. And her most recent win, even though it goes back to 2014, was over soft going. So if it rains, and it rains hard, I think we need to make sure we use Irish Rookie, even though she's kind of a little bit of an unknown quantity. But, I mean, running in Grade 1s and Grade 2s and finishing 2nd and 3rd, that's still not bad, and in a lot of cases better than most of the Americans will do if they went over there. So, again, this is a race we can go real deep in, and I'm interested in hearing Rich's opinion. So, Rich, take it away.
All right. Well, let's see. I was on the same horse as you were, Joe, to give you my A pick, which was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I've heard them talk about this horse before. The name is pronounced Fee Fi Fo Filer. That's the Jolly Green Giant or something like that. I can't remember what I heard it before, things like that. But the horse came out to California and ran, I believe, at one point in time. That's where the Drayden connection comes in.
Right.
I was looking at the race from a pace perspective and noticed that it seemed like, and Ray, I understand what you're saying. The course does play normally to speed. There's not that many races, but you see it's not a whole lot going wire to wire here. And probably a total here after the 61 courses at 51%. So it seems like it plays pretty fair. And then I looked down and saw that we had horses like Celestine and Tapestry, and my Miss Sophia, Lexi Lou can actually move. And the one you'll have to watch out for, the one they'll all be trying to catch, I believe, is this horse down here that's named is La Burma or La Berma. Another rocket like that. So I thought there was a lot of speed, and I thought it might set up for a closer. So I was having a tough time with this race. I was considering the ALL button.
Yeah.
So I ended up with the 10 as my top pick to show you what a chicken I was, and things like that. After all that handicapping and things like that, I ended up with the 10 as my top pick. I have the 7 as my second pick. We have discussed ad nauseum on this show, and I'm sure we're not even done on this show yet with this trainer's name. But throwing out Chad Brown horses in races like this, especially when him and his jockey show up with numbers like that, can actually be a little bit crazy. I can bring out my Bob Baffert doll, and I don't have a Chad Brown doll to show them.
That's coming, Rich. Believe me.
It's coming. Yeah, exactly. At some point in time, there's going to be a bobblehead doll.
It's coming.
I will put him up on my shelf. So. The last horse that I went with, and Joe kind of beat me to it, so he caught the trouble that Recepta had in that first race. You could easily just toss a line through this race. It was early in the race. There was a bump. There was a clipped heels early, and the horse kept on coming. There was 11 lengths at the second call as 2 3/4 out. Keeps Velasquez for the ride, and again, a very, very small sample. But everybody, if you've watched this show before, you guys know I'm addicted to numbers and percentages and like that. So when I see something like that where a trainer with a jockey is 67%, I'm going to bring it up. So I liked Recepta, and I ended up just going 10-7-2 as my A picks. And if I was to give you my B picks, we would be here all night. But as I said, I was ready. Yep.
Yeah. Except that I don't know that we're going to be able to hit all. So we're going to have to narrow it down later, but we'll get to that.
Aren't you, Joe? You and your reason.
Sorry. As an accountant, it just goes with what I do. Everything's black and white. There's no gray area.
All right, we're going to move on to. I've got. Let's see, Ray. I've got your A picks as the 5, the 7, and the 12. And if we've got room for your B picks, they're the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And Joe, I've got your A picks as the 10, the 8, and the 2. And if we have room for your B picks, it's the 1, the 7, the 9, and the 12. And again, as I just stated, I have the 10, the 7, and the 2 as my
something
A.
like that. If there were 14s and 15s, they would be on my B picks probably too.
All right.
With a pool of 1.5 million, we gotta go for it. So put everybody in.
All right, up next is race number 9. It is the Mohegan Sun Metropolitan Handicap, the Met Mile to you and me. It is 1 mile on the main track, grade 1 for 3-year-olds and upwards. The purse is $1.25 million, and note that is the highest in North America outside of the Breeders' Cup for older horses. 11 starters, and your morning line favorite is coming back from Dubai, number 5, Frosted for Kieran McLaughlin. Joe, you are up on the Met Mile.
Okay, this race I subtitled. The race was normally tough enough, but then they had to move it to the pick 4 on Belmont Day to give handicappers migraine headaches. Based on what we just went through in the last race, this one's not going to be any easier. I'm kind of confused about one individual trainer in here, and I understand that the horses that he's running are for 2 different ownership groups. But I'm kind of perplexed as to why both Stanford and Anchor Down are running in this spot. It looks like they both kind of want to do the same thing. And I just don't understand. And maybe there's a scratch coming that I'm not sure about. And maybe one is better on wet tracks, and we'll get to that in a second. But if they both run, I'm assuming that they're both going to run. I actually kind of like the Pete Miller horse, or a horse who I might have mentioned on this show at one point. Calculator. He's 10-1 in the morning line, and he's been knocking heads with some tough horses in these elongated sprints, mostly at 7 furlongs, and now he gets an extra furlong to run. He's definitely healthy, even though he had some health concerns earlier in his career. He's run 5 times this year. I believe this will be his 5th start, and he just worked 5 furlongs in 58 over at San Luis Rey, where Rich happened to be earlier this week. So there should be enough speed in the race with both Stanford and Anchor Down to set it up for his late kick. And he seems due to win one of these. He's been so close. And a grade 1 is obviously in his future. And at this long elongated sprint distance, today might be the day. Of the 2, I actually like the other 2 Pletcher horses that I mentioned better than just about everybody else in this field. And I don't want to make a case against Frosted necessarily, but he's not going to. He wouldn't be on my personal ticket. I like Stanford a little bit more than I like Anchor Down. but depending on the weather, that may change. Pletcher Castellano, need to say no more about that. He's been able to rate going longer earlier in his career, so I think he's got a little bit of a tactical edge, whereas Anchor Down may only be able to do it one way. And it's possible that he actually, depending on, because I've looked at Anchor Down's PPs and I was kind of perplexed. That last race was so good in the mud, and he went right to lead and he just kept on going. So if it comes up muddy, that may be the way they go tomorrow, and maybe Stanford comes out of this race. Anchor Down was the other horse I liked, and he's 12-1 morning line. I'm guessing that if it rains on any level, I mean, if it rains hard, I don't think you're going to get 12-1 on this horse at all. Pletcher and Jose Ortiz, again, no need to talk anymore about that. He freaked in the mud. He gets Jose Ortiz for the second time today. And Jose Ortiz is going to put him in the right spot. If they both run, I would kind of be surprised. Good work over the Belmont training track. Not the most recent work, but two back at 47-3 on May 27th. He has been able to show the ability to rate, but it's been at lower levels. This is grade 1, and this is new territory for this horse. So the pace scenario is really what's got me kind of confused. But those would be the three top picks in order: 11, 12, 7. And again, calculators 10-1 on the morning line. I would have two other B picks. Noble Bird and Marking would be my other choices, the 4 and the 13. But I'd really rather have somebody else's opinion on what the pace scenario is going to bring. So, Ray, can you enlighten me a little bit?
Well, I think the pace probably will be a good pace. I could see a horse like Anchor Down on the lead. I'm pretty sure Ortiz going to send him. I can see Stafford rating, actually, like you said. And also I could see Calculator being behind. My top pick was going to be number 8, Amy's Flatter, who she had a strong win in the Grade 3 Commonwealth going 7 furlongs. And another 7 furlong race may find the one-turn mile very manageable for this horse. Last year he hit the board against some good 3-year-olds like Materiality, Carpe Diem in the Florida Tampa Bay Derby. Martin Garcia rides. I also like Calculator, so I'm probably looking for the closers here. Calculator's been close to 7 furlongs, and the mile, probably his preferred distance. Like you say, I think he's gonna win one of these. And I'm like you. I'm gonna keep knocking on him until he wins, because I believe he's got some kick in him, and he's gonna win one of these. And tomorrow might be the day. Post 11 gives him a good outside trip too to stay out of trouble. My third pick would be Stafford. He could rate off for Anchor Down, like I said, and get a jump on the closers on the far turn. He's in top form, just missing in the great Gulf Stream Handicap, and he won the Charlestown Handicap. And he could redeem last year's loss to Japan on Belmont Stakes Day also. But in that race, he kind of went to the lead a little bit, and I think he chased him by Japan. In that race, he just ran second all the way. He just didn't catch him. I think he just 1-5 that day too. Horses like Noble Bird and Frosted, I'm gonna stay away from this race for some reason. I just don't like them at the mile. I mean, for some reason, I mean, if they win, so be it. But I'm gonna go with this race with the 7 furlong horses stretching out on this one-turn mile at Belmont, which can be usually horses like that do very well. All right, Rich, what you got to say about the Metropolitan Handicap?
Yeah,
which
well,
I also miss it also for Memorial Day too.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that, I mean, I understand why they moved it, but
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean,
that's true.
It's just one of those traditional things.
Yeah, yep. Rich?
absolutely. I mean, ironically enough, right? There's 3 Todd Pletcher horses in this race. There's 3 broke guys. So as you might imagine, if you do the math, there was room for 1 Pletcher for each of us, and you guys left out one of the Pletchers. So unfortunately, my top pick, and of course Joe mentioned this already. Joe called it earlier this year, and the broke guys stick together. So Joe told everybody who would listen that Calculator was going to be the best older horse in this division once the year came around. And you know me and Ray are going to stick on that and bet that horse until the cows come.
That's right.
I'm on the 11. The 11's on my top line. He's been on my top line ever since Joe said that, which was back before we were handicapping in San Carlos. So this is episode lucky number 13 for us. And somewhere way back then, back at the very initial part, was when Joe brought this up. And ever since then, Cat Theater keeps just making his way to the top of our ticket. He's going to win one. So, as I mentioned, there's 3 Todd Pletcher horses in there, and Joe and Ray have already done a really good job of covering the first 2, the 7 and the 12. I can't toss out any of the Todd Pletcher horses because I've already discussed this before. I don't like splitting kings at a blackjack table, so I don't like splitting the Todd Pletchers, and I don't like leaving out Blofeld either because he was my top pick of the three Pletchers. If you look back for him, he won the Gulfstream Park Handicap, going a mile at Gulfstream, yada yada. It's the same one-turn distance for them here. He actually beat Stanford and Anchor Down that day. It was a Todd Pletcher trifecta. I paid like $9.28.
No, if you look, Rich Blofeld was 9-1 that day.
Oh, he's 9-1 that day. I'm sorry. He's a tough customer. He came back on that. The Oaklawn Park Handicap. The rider got it correctly. He was in post number 1. He did not get a real good jump, and he got stuck in the second flight. So he got caught behind kind of a wall of horses that were in front of him, and he was on the rail the whole way around. And he just had nothing left at the end to try and make that run. He still put up a good speed figure, but he just watched as FNX kind of ran by Melatonin there at the end. So Blofeld's a solid horse, so I went 11-2 as my top 2 picks there. Joe has already covered 7 Stanford, and Ray has already covered Stanford, so I don't need to go into that horse. If I was using B picks, my B picks would have been Noble Bird, and because I guess I'm a little bit of a chicken, even though I wanted to toss him, I probably would have brought back in, but only as a B pick, I would have brought back in Frosted just because he's that classic. So I was trying to get around him in this particular race.
Yeah, it's a difficult spot because Noble Bird and Frosted, just to carry that banner, to take the ball and run with it, Noble Bird and Frosted are really the only Grade 1 winners in this field. Yeah. And generally Grade 1 winners win Grade 1 races. Now, again, like Ray says, he doesn't like Noble Bird at the mile. I think Noble Bird's kind of over the top. He's run 3 times already this year. We saw him at Keeneland. We saw him. I know he ran 2 other races. He ran on I want to say Derby Friday, maybe Oaks Day. He won I think it was the Ali Sheba. He ran fantastic. I just think he's kind of over the top, and I'm not sure what to expect of Frosted coming back from Dubai. I have to be confident that McLaughlin's got him ready. If I knew he was going to be closer to 6 or 8-1, I'd be willing to say that. 7-2 seems awfully short in the field this quality to take. I mean, you don't know what kind of trip he's going to get. You don't know what kind of shape he's in. Like I said, I'd summarily toss him all together, and since he's a B pick on your ticket, Rich, and we're going to have to pare down.
Yep.
I don't have a problem getting beat by 7-2 shots who I think are false favorites.
No, if you had seen me at summer camp this week, that was one of my big questions. Once I got these forms, was I was asking, I won't say the name, but I was asking some of the insiders there, saying things like, hey, so how much does it take out of a horse to come back from this Dubai race? And unanimously, I heard quite a bit.
Yeah.
That helped me to make my decision, and they all knew that that's exactly what I was looking for. So
you heard exactly what you wanted to hear.
Yeah. All right. Okay, we are on to race number 10 then, gentlemen. It is the Woodford Reserve, the Manhattan Stakes. A mile and a quarter on the inner turf. Grade 1 for 4-year-olds and upwards. The purse is $1 million. 11 starters, and your morning line favorite at 9-5 is the classy World Traveler. His name is Flintshire. Just recently transferred to the barn of Chad Brown because, he was really short on good turf racers. And before I turn this over to Ray for his thoughts on the Manhattan, I am going to slip in one of our regular trivia questions. We've got another 3 broke guys horse in this race, gentlemen. So who did the 3 broke guys see? And I will hand it off to Ray.
Well, when I started looking at this race, I saw World Approval, Slumber, Big Wake Forest, Big Blue Clinton, horses we've been following, and they're all double-digit morning line odds. I'm like, oh, Flintshire's here. I was wondering, Flintshire 8-5, like $7 million horse. but he's 5 for 19 with 10 seconds. But that was in Europe with a really he was running in some really rich Group 1 races. So I don't know. We could play this race two ways. I mean, we could single flinch here, or we could try and beat him. So if we did spread, I would look at I like Ironicus number 6. He's looking for his first Grade 1 win. He stretched out to 10 furlongs. He keeps leading meat rider Joe Jose Ortiz. It's kind of an acid test for him, but the barn's doing very well. They're 15 for 30 in the exacta at the meet. So, this is a good test for him. Number 1, world approval. I believe at 4 years old, he's going to become one of the top handicap turfers. He's progressing very well. And he tries distance for the first time, so this could be a year he breaks out. Number 3, Wake Forest. He's 10 to 1. He won the Grade 1 Man of War. That made us win our pick 4. He seems he's shown to be able to put races together. So this may be a tougher field than the Man of War. So, but he'll be in it. He'll be in this in the thick of things. Then we got number 5, Big Blue Kitten. He won the. He's looking for his stablemate, Shining Copper, to wreck the pace, but he's not entered here, so there may be not too much pace for him to run into. But he's a Grade 1 multiple winner, and with his pal Joe Bravo aboard. And then number 2, Slumber, last year's winner. He can improve off of his debut. I ride Ortiz, but at 8 years old, his schedule seems to be a little lighter than last year because he's been racing before this race. So we don't know what to expect for him. But he might improve a little bit. He's good odds too. So that's if we spread. We could also, single flinch here. I'll mention him. He's, won a lot of money. He's 5 for 19. So let's see what we do. Joe, what we got to say about the Manhattan Handicap?
The only thing I have to say about the Manhattan is 2 things. One is there's a UPS commercial. What's that slogan? What is that slogan again? That's it. What can Brown do for you?
Brown do? Oh, Brown.
Okay. and to answer that question, there was a turf race earlier today that Mr. Brown actually saddled the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place finishers. Big surprise there.
The Brown triple.
Yeah, exactly. So to be honest with you, and yes, I could have gone deeper than this. I'm pulling a Rich Sharp here. I'm not splitting them. I think we need to use all 4 of them, and I'll give you a little. I actually kind of like Wake Forest. I think he ran wonderfully when he won the Man of War, and he's 4 of 7 at this distance. So the distance is not obviously going to be a problem. He finished fast that day, and if I remember right, the track might have had a little moisture in it that day as well. He works, but he works slowly, but that's just the way he is. And this is his 3rd start, so this should be his best start of the form cycle. Usually the 3rd and the 4th start of the form cycle are generally the best. And at 10 to 1 morning line, you almost have to include him. Because it seems as if somebody's going to beat Flincher. I don't know who. I'm not sure if it's him, but I would take my chances with a 10 to 1 as opposed to the 8 to 5. Slumber would be my second choice, which you covered, Ray. 4 of 9 and 4 of 9 with 3 other in the money finishes at 10 furlongs. He ran a lot better than I thought he was going to run on Derby Day in the Woodford Reserve, finishing 3rd. So the stretch out looks like it should be perfect for him. Should hit him right between the eyes. And he obviously won this race last year, so he has an affinity for the Belmont track. And he had a solid drill at Belmont earlier this week on the 4th, 5 furlongs in a minute and 3. So Slumber would be my second choice. Big Blue Kitten is my third choice. I'm a little concerned. I'm not sure if he was just a short horse or if he's just showing his age, because I would have expected more of a finish from him on Derby Day. We got the finish from Slumber, not from him. So maybe there's a little bit of concern, but again, he might just have been short, and we know he's a 1.5 mile horse. So this may not be an ideal distance for him, but he's 14 for 31 lifetime, 27 in the money finishes. It's really hard to knock him. I'm going to give him a pass for the last one. So he ran out of the money once out of his last, 4 times in his career, and that last race happened to be one of them. And the other horse is Flincher. And I'm going to repeat what I said about Big Blue Kitten on Derby Day, and the same thing I said about Slumber. He doesn't have to win this race. His goal, my guess, is the Breeders' Cup Turf in November at 1.5 miles. This is 1.25 miles. They have to start somewhere. Chad Brown, I mean, if he's going to start somewhere, you might as well start him in a Grade 1. And it's not that he can't win, but like Ray said, he has a tendency to run a little. He comes up a little bit short. He lost at the Breeders' Cup that we went to, so Flincher is the answer to your trivia question, Rich.
There you go.
He was the one who lost to, I can't remember the Shug McGahee horse that beat him. I'm sure Rich knows because he had him that day.
Was it?
It was the horse had run like 5 in a row, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Was it Main Sequence? Main Sequence.
Yes, that absolutely was Main Sequence.
Yeah.
So he just, for whatever reason, he had a little trouble that day, and he just has a knack for coming up short. Again, like Ray said, $7 million winner, blah blah blah. But at 8-5, first start in 6 months, in a race that he does not have to win, I'm sure I'm putting him right in the winner's circle. But I'll take my chances betting against those kind every time. And the funny part is, I didn't mention World Approval, who I like as a B. I didn't mention Divisadero.
No, you didn't.
Who beat World Approval last time out. And this race is not going to be easy, and the winner's going to deserve it. And the horse that finishes 5th or 6th is going to still be a pretty damn good horse come tomorrow night. But I'm just going to stick with the UPS logo. Just go with what can Brown do for you. And I may actually be bold enough to just hit the 10-cent superfecta 2, 3, 5, 10 and watch them run 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 2, 3, 5. Knowing my luck, but in order 3, 2, 5, 10 would be my choices in the Manhattan, and I'm sure Rich has an opinion. He always has an opinion, so let's hear it. Rich, what do you got to say?
All right, well, and I'll even, as I seem to try and keep everything going at the same time like that, I'll stop for a moment sharing my screen so you guys can see me here as I talk about the Manhattan Stake one more time. I'm sorry about that. Like I say, I'm transferring back and forth between the data and showing off what's on there, and I kind of forget about talking to everybody here. So I use the same strategy that Joe did. I don't have much more to offer you than you keep hearing me say that same analogy of not splitting kings at the blackjack table, and this time Chad Brown's just on fire on the turf. He's got 4 of them in here. Joe's got them all covered, 2, 3, 5, and 10, because he talked about him enough and said, he's not going to win. Yeah, I have Flintshire down as my top one, and then I just have Chad Brown with parentheses of 3 as my second 8. I didn't really need to look at them all that much. He's a world traveler, Flintshire. I mentioned that at the beginning and that. It doesn't matter if it's in Hong Kong or if it's in Europe or if it's in North America. I'd imagine if they ran a race in Antarctica, this horse could run it. He doesn't have seconditis. He has Trev and people like that in his past.
Mm-hmm.
Running lines and things like that. So when you have horses like that, it's a little bit of a different story and things like that. He's an absolute beast on the turf. Joe's right. His primary distance is 1.5 miles, so I wasn't sure why they were necessarily going for the 1.25 mile race here. But he wins off of layoffs. He wins for big money. And Chad Brown, this is one of those ones that I see this every once in a while. There's a lot of firsts here. So this is the first with Chad Brown. You've got the first with Lasix coming here. There's a lot to like there for Flintshire. And he has fired before off a layoff. So don't look at that just yet. That being said, Slumber, Big Blue Kitten. I thought the same thing I think that the other 2 broke guys said. I thought out of those, the threesome there like that, I may have liked Wake Forest the best. I kept looking at everybody here for their distance pedigree as far as this 1.25 mile distance doesn't seem like it's real popular. So you didn't see a whole lot of horses that had that in their running line. And if you were going to use somebody outside the foursome of Chad Browns, I recommend that you use the one that Ray talked about, which was Ironicus. But I just stuck with the 4 Chad Browns. Wake Forest is what I was getting to here. And I'm not showing my data anymore, but he's 4 for 7 at the distance. And I believe it was Slumber, who was the other horse, who was 4 for 9 at the distance. So I've got 10 with 2, 3, 5.
What can Brown do for you?
Brown do for you. And yeah, I saw that kid at the end, that he ran 1, 2, 3, and yeah, big.
Yeah.
That was my comment of seeing him getting Flincher into his barn. I'm like, yeah, because he's so short on the quality turf horses.
You know what? It's funny. He's actually starting to turn into, believe it or not, Christophe Clement, who really, remember Ray? I'm sure you remember. He used to have a reputation until Tonalist actually won the Belmont. He was a turf trainer.
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah,
and right now, unfortunately, until he gets that big dirt star, that's where Chad Brown's going. That's where everybody knows.
Yeah.
I mean, until he gets it, I mean, not that I would ever just say, oh yeah, he's a toss on dirt, but I say it about Baffert. Baffert generally, for me, is a toss on. He's a toss on.
Billy Mott too.
But Billy Mott did at least have Royal Delta, so at least. I mean, again, of course, Billy Mott's in his 50s, and Chad Brown
point,
36 or whatever.
Going back, he was also
Oh, sure. Anyway, next.
Well, yeah. He's getting them from the Europe.
Oh, no, he will eventually have a dirt star, and he'll probably win a derby at some point, if not multiple derbies. But you know, like I said, right now he just happens to be winning pretty much everything on the turf that's run on the East Coast. Phil D'Amato wins everything run on the turf on the West Coast. So.
Well, he gets them more from 3 or 4, so he doesn't really get a race at 2. So that's where you get your dirt horses.
Well, again, he'll get one eventually.
Yeah. Like Pletcher gets them from 2 and starts them from the beginning.
All right, hold on. I got hung up here, and this is why I guess I shouldn't go back and forth between sharing and.
No, we have to, Rich. We have to see your face.
I've heard this from several.
Witness protection, be damned.
All right. Well, so you guys don't have to wait any longer here. Let me just get this going. Our final race for the day, obviously, is race number 11. It's the Belmont Stakes, and it's 1.5 miles on the main track. It's a Grade 1 for 3-year-olds only. The purse is $1.5 million. 13 starters, and your 9-5 morning line favorite in post number 11 is your Preakness champion and Kentucky Derby runner-up, Exaggerator for Keith DeSormo, and ridden by his brother Kent. So, last of the night, and over to you, Joe.
Thanks, Rich. We discussed this race a little bit at lunch today, and I went back and looked a little bit. And Exaggerator, there used to be an old theory that if a horse had the top 3 buyer speed figures, and he had run better than any of the other horses had ever run, that this horse was bound to win. That's what Exaggerator is. He's got the 3 highest buyer speed figures in the field. There should be enough pace with Stradivari and Gettysburg for him to set up a move. Kent DeSormo, he's got an outside box. If I remember right, TVG was showing the Real Quiet Derby. Actually, the Belmont. I'm sorry, they were showing a lot of the classic Belmonts, and they showed Real Quiet sitting outside, and he made a move. I don't think the pace won't be a problem. His post won't be a problem. He is prohibitive favorite, or he will be. At least he was in the early wagering. As of about 6 o'clock this afternoon, I think he was at 4-5 in the early wagering. So he really doesn't need moisture in the track, but if he gets it, I don't think that obviously not going to be a problem based on what we saw in the Santa Anita Derbies and in the Preakness. So he's the logical choice. He's the most likely winner, even though at 1.5 miles, sometimes figures don't necessarily tell the whole story. But I think we're probably going to have to single him. But if we don't single him, I actually kind of like Destin a little bit. He was 6-1 in the morning line, and as of the early wagering, he was 17-1. Pletcher Castellano, again, no need to discuss any further. He was close to the hot pace in the Derby, or relatively close. If you look at Rich, if Rich can pull up Destin's PPs, that pace was about 14/5 of a second, if I remember right, faster than the norm. And he was only about 8 lengths from the lead. So he was running faster than the norm at 1.25 miles early in the race. And I wish I didn't send it to you, Rich. It would be, if you look at the Derby chart, you'll see that only 3 of the horses that were in the top 10 early in the Derby finished in the top 10. One was Nyquist, one was Gunrunner, the other was Destin. I think he ran a lot better than it looked. I think he's going to be relatively close to the pace. He may get the first jump on Exaggerator, and it's very possible. Maybe I shouldn't say very possible. I guess it's possible that he could be on the lead, turning for home, and somebody might actually have to try and run him down. So I think he would be the horse I would like to use underneath. Just for clarification and for our audience, if you don't have the Tomlinson figures in the daily racing form and you're using other past performances, the Tomlinson ratings generally tell you how good you should be able to run at a distance or on wet tracks. Going a mile and a half, the two top Tomlinson figures were for the 4 Sudden Breaking News at 368 and the 13 Creator at 360. Again, I just want to throw that out there just so that if you're not using the DRFPPs, you can have that and factor that into your handicapping. That said, for me, I'm just going to go too deep. Personally, I can probably be okay with singling Exaggerator and hoping that his talent overcomes the mile and a half question. And I guess, again, if we had to use somebody else, I would use Pletcher's Destin as my second underneath. And again, he's 17-1 early in the betting, so you're going to get some value there. And I might do an exacta with those two personally. But again, 11 and 2 in that order would probably be my top picks. Ray, you're a lot closer to the situation. I got a question for you. Are you actually going to Belmont tomorrow, or do you have some family commitments that you can't get out of?
No, my daughter's dance class is a couple so I'll not be able to go. Yeah.
Sorry. Go.
I would have swung, but I tried. But if I get there late, that don't make sense getting there late because it'll be a madhouse. So.
Okay. Well, what do you got to say about the Belmont?
I'll watch it in TUG. Nice, comfortable. Get a big lunch. Of course, if there was Triple Crown, I would definitely make a way to get there. But unfortunately, this year's not the year I get it. Well, let me see. You kind of, I agree with you, with Exaggerator, but I'm going to try and beat him. I mean, I'd like to use him in tickets, of course. I'm going to go with Creator. He's 10-1. Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. The Derby trip, probably a throwout. He rested for this, picks up by Ride Ortiz, who knows the big oval very well. Hope to see Bobby Flay in the winner's circle. He could be closer if the pace is slow, so he's not a deep closer. He can probably sit mid-pack, make a run. And like you said, I think usually if you're on the lead at top of stretch, you're in good shape at Belmont. A lot of horses don't really get run down. Of course, Exaggerator, second in Derby, lost to Nyquist. He drew away, powerful Preakness win, and slop. Been solid the last 2 races. The forecast for rain around the Belmont Stakes would help him. He's in top form. He's probably the best, in this race. Unfortunately, Nyquist not here, so there won't be no rematch. I also like Sudden Breaking News. He's a Southwest winner. He gains ground in almost all his races. What I like about him is that he broke his maiden on a slow pace where he was actually on the lead. So he's not that much of a deep closer that you think. I mean, the pace usually depends where he is. So he could probably run all day. If it rains, don't forget, the Preakness runner-up, Cherry Wine, who came flying up the rail. He loved the slop there. So I would probably stick with 13, 11, and 4 as my picks. Rich, what do you guys say about the Belmont?
Not much. There you go. What's that?
Hey, Ray, just while you're getting ready, Creator was in the 20s, 22 or 23-1. I'm actually trying to look up
wow.
what the early wagering. Again, now that was at about, actually I want to say maybe close to 5 or 6 o'clock Pacific time. So I don't know if they closed the pools at any point overnight, but I'm trying to get it on my phone to see if they have any
I got him in a double with the
Right.
that 2 miles crazy race they had today.
All right, so I'm up. I got my screen share going again, so I am not going to show you my face anymore because that's my computer just not cooperating here. So I'm on. I singled. If I'm playing a pick four tomorrow, I am probably going fairly deep in at least one of the 3 races that we've already covered. And by fairly deep, I mean 6 or 7 deep. And I'm just going to use now what I look at as the best closer in the game. So Nyquist isn't here. You already touched on that. Exaggerator is. I said it before the Triple Crown started, was all you have to do is find the best horse in California. It was Nyquist at one point in time, and now it's Exaggerator. And on top of everything else, this horse runs in the mud or in the water like he's a hippocampus, like he's a water horse. I mean, he just flies across it. Joe and I saw with our own eyes at the Santa Anita Derby. Everybody in the country saw it at the Preakness. And on top of everything else, it's expected to start raining right about the time that the Belmont should be going on. And on top of that, I even said it to Joe, I've seen some forecasts that say the storms could be severe, so we could have one of those nice New York deluges for Nyquist to go ahead and skate across. And he's going to get an extra 440 yards over the Preakness. None of these horses are ready for that, but he's the one who's shown the biggest kick to me, so I'm just going to single Nyquist. If something were to happen, if I bring this up every once in a while, the saddle slips, if Nyquist scratches for some reason. I'll have another a few years ago, at this stage in time like that. If something happens and that horse is not in there, I would probably have to go back to the entire drawing board here, because this would then look like an all type of a race to me. So I would stick with Nyquist as my single, 11 only, and then put all underneath only in the event that Nyquist isn't in that game. All right, so we have come to the end of our pick four. I ended up just with the 11. Joe, was it 11 and 2 for you in that one? Was it destined?
Yes.
Okay. And Joe, and Ray, I've got 13, 11, and 4, I believe, for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Without me transferring off anymore, let me go ahead and bring up our template here for this week. And
this is going to be very strategical.
Yeah, very
strategical. It's a tough one.
Exactly.
It's a tough one.
All right. So for race 8, for Ray, I've got the 5, the 7, and the 12 were your A picks?
Yeah.
The 12. And for Joe, I have the 2, the 8, and the 10.
Mm-hmm.
There's the 2. There is the 8 and the 10. And for myself, I think I had the 10, so the 10 is in there, and I had the 7, and I had the 2, so I'm covered. Those are all in there for me. On to race number 9. And Ray, I believe, has the 7, the 8, and the 11.
Yeah, 8, 11, 7, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
11. And Joe has, okay, so 11, and also 12 for Joe?
Yeah, 7, 11, and 12.
7, 11, and 12, okay. And for me, I had the 11 and the 2. All the way back up to here. All right, on to race number 10. And Ray, I have you with the 6, the 3, the 5, and the 2. Are those all you picked?
6, 1, 3, 5, 2.
Is this a combination? A birthday? What? Telephone number?
Or Flint shit by itself. I mean, one or the other. Actually, no. 6, 1, 3. That's pretty much my apex.
Okay. 1, 3. Oops. 3, 6.
Yeah, 6, 1, 3. Yeah.
All right. And Joe, you have.
Like Keno.
Yeah, Joe's got the Chad Brown foursome. 2, 3, 5, 10.
3, 5, 10. Correct. While you're doing that, Rich, while you're putting that in there, I just wanted to let everybody know, if you don't know already, I was just looking at my personal individual Twitter feed, and it looks like TVG's got a lot of good stuff on Twitter. Interviews with trainers, guys like John Service, who trains Catherine Sophia, Chad Brown, Todd Pletcher, Kieran McLaughlin, among others. So if you'd like to listen, and I see one with Dale Romans, so if you'd like to get that information, if you didn't know already, just go to tvg.com. TVG's Twitter feed. It's just at TVG. They have lots of information, and you'll hear it from the trainer's mouth. And that may or may not sway you one way or the other based on what they tell you. But just more information for you.
If you're like me and you're an Exaggerator fan, I believe they're doing one of their wonderful odds boosts. So I think from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock Pacific time tomorrow, you can get 5 to 2 odds on Exaggerator. All right, let me see if I got that.
Is that for a $10 max, Rich, like usual?
Yes, they're back there. They're the first $10 exactly.
Okay. Cool. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think we can cover that.
I don't think we can cover that.
Bathroom like that.
Oh my goodness.
Oh boy! Wow.
That's 6. Wait a minute. I need my calculator on my phone if I'm going to figure out how many combinations this is. Let's see. I think it's $360 if we did that, which of course we don't have enough to cover. Believe it or not. 6 by 5 is 30, and 6 by 4 is 24. 30 by 24 is 720. So 50 cents would be $360.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I know where I can see the opportunity to pare down. So, but where do you want to start?
Oh boy.
Show's supposed to be over in 3 minutes, so I assume we're gonna. I think we're going over.
We're going over on this one.
Wow. Well, okay. Let's start with the Belmont. I think that's probably the easiest place to pare down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, during our conversation, while I was my spiel, I was thinking that we would probably end up singling. But if we want to go too deep, I mean, like I said, I can see possibly. I wouldn't mind getting Destin out of there if it has to be. Since I was the only one who mentioned him at all, I will acquiesce and give way to the group. Since only one of the three had it in there, so I will take Destin out of our pick 4 ticket to make it a little bit more manageable. So eliminate the 2, Mr. Sharp.
I pulled him.
Oh, okay. There must be a delay because I'm seeing.
It's probably on
okay.
my computer to the share screen is delayed. Incredibly.
No problem. Does that mean I can't say bad words?
Yeah. Yeah, that delay's not working.
Oh, okay. It's not the dump button. Got it.
It's not the dump button. No.
Okay, I see. I do see it now. Now we have creator and sudden breaking news.
I could forego sudden breaking news. I mean, he was my 3rd pick, so. Nobody else mentioned him. So.
Yeah. Like I said, I mentioned both he and creator as the better.
Right. Yeah.
Tomlinson figures, and I mean, again, it's not scientific. Obviously, it's sort of like the dosage index that went by the wayside long time ago. I don't know exactly how true. So if we get rid of that, then we're left with creator and exaggerator.
He did run better in the Derby, but he had to.
Yeah,
a little worse trip actually.
Yeah, I did watch that, and I did see that creator did have the worst trip. I just wish.
Yeah.
That once he got righted, if he had come a little bit better, if he had closed a little bit better, I would have been more positive. But yeah, the 1.5 miles, and I know I mentioned Creator's mama a long time ago when we first started doing these shows. That she ran up against Rachel Alexander and Unbridled Forever back in earlier this decade. So she's a little bit classier, and I could see staying just with those 2. I know Rich would probably rather just go 1 deep, but unfortunately we saw what happened. I hate to bring up bad news, but we saw what happened last time when we singled Nyquist. We were all on that bandwagon, and somebody came along and upset the apple cart.
Yeah, it is a horse race.
It actually happened to be Uncle Lino who screwed us over, but anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Okay, but the ticket at this point in time is at $180 if we left it that way. So we're gonna have to pare down quite a few of the other choices because that's
okay. Yeah.
That's
well. Again, I'm not. I'm 180 is $60 each, and I mean I'm not sure what you guys are comfortable with. I mean we have enough to cover a $180 ticket just so that I mean our budget right now we have about I think it's just short of 300. But I mean, I don't know that I really want to go that deep in this ticket either. But I can see maybe 120 because it's. I mean, these fields are not.
Yeah, it's tough.
These fields are really tough to pare down, even at 50 cents.
And with the pool, it's gonna pay, regardless.
Well, again, as long as you have the four winners, it'll pay. Yeah.
And of course, with all the horses, in the field, it's that's
okay. Let's see.
It's worth that money, like you said, the 120. So we could.
Yeah, like I said, I don't mind going 120, 180. I'm not sure. Let's see. The Manhattan, like I said, I've got all the Chad Browns in the Manhattan and
right.
Wow. I mean, I guess if I had to pare it down there, I would almost say, wow, this is tough. It's like I said, wow. I'm really in a quandary because I'd really love to toss Flincher. Because, like I said, this is not his best distance, his best game. He doesn't usually run this far. It's his first race in 6 months, and he's 8-5. But if I had to toss one of the Chad Browns, I'd probably toss Big Blue Kitten, believe it or not. But again, I'm not sure I don't know what you guys. Yeah. I mean, but the other thing is, I would keep all the Chad Browns, and I wouldn't.
He doesn't have his money.
But here's the other thing, and Ray, you mentioned it about Ironicus and World Appeal. Actually, they're both stretching out, and they've never gone a mile and a quarter. And Ironicus has never won a Grade 1. They're asking him to run a distance he's not used to running. Again, not that he can't, and to win a Grade 1. Again, not that he can. He's the 4-1 second choice. I mean, wasn't it? Ray, I know Ray remembers Harvey Pack saying, "Don't take short odds on a horse to ask when they're asking a horse never to do something he's never done before." And in this case, you're asking him to do something he's never done before, two somethings he's never done before. Never won a Grade 1, never gone a mile and a quarter. Again, can he win? Absolutely. Am I willing to take the short price? I mean, yeah. If the 8th and 9th race horses both paid 10-1, I would be mad if he wasn't in the race, or he wasn't on our ticket. But I mean, like I said, we've got World Approval in the ticket, but no Divisadero, who beat World Approval. So I'm like, okay. I'm just trying to figure out where to pair. I mean, maybe we go to the Met Mile and we'd take out Anchor Down, because I know.
Yeah, maybe in another race.
Mentioned him
because
I know. I mean, I'm just concerned that he may just love the slop, and if the weather forecast holds, he runs off the screen again, and then we're out in race 2. Given that we survived race 1. I mean, Rich, are you there?
No, I'm here.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I don't see your face, and because the screen's on a delay, I guess is part of the reason that I'm.
Yeah, and I'm not, and unfortunately for anybody who's wondering if I'm going to come back on, I'm not going to come back on after that last one. So my computer, and I think it's my computer. I think my computer's running slow as the delay and things like that. So you're not going to see my face again, unfortunately. No, I mean, at this point in time, this is where it gets tough. In that 11th race, in the last race, you guys, by going with a double, with the multiples that we have in the first race, it makes that last, each one gets incrementally more expensive. I agree with what you're saying, Joe, as far as if I was going to, if we wanted to toss one, we're using the favorite in race 10, and yet we're still going 60, the Manhattan Stakes, which would beg the question of, well, which one is it? Is it the favorite or is it 60? It sounds like you almost have no confidence in the favorite winning the race, in which case toss him and try and beat him. And yet I'm going to hate myself in the mirror. I'm going to hate looking at myself in the mirror, having tossed somebody who I've been watching him for, ever since we actually saw him back in 2014. And as I said, I don't believe he has seconditis. I believe he's got a case of I face off against the best horses in the world. Sometimes going to their home tracks. And a lot of times I finish second by 3/4 of a length or half a length. And again, I know the horse can't be interviewed, but I believe that's his spiel on it. And so I couldn't figure out Chad Brown's angle here. Slumber and Big Blue Kitten look like the older American horses. I thought, it looks like Wake Forest and Flincher are the top two to me that I'd put in there. But and if Chad Brown's listening and things like that, I wish he could see me just shaking my head and things like that. I'm not going to play against him. I fear that man. You brought up some names before that we were talking about, Christophe Clement and things like that. No, I put Chad Brown in that Bob Baffert of the turf category right now. He is that hot. So I just don't want to split his horse. I wasn't comfortable splitting his horses on my ticket. And in the end, my philosophy is probably going to be to single Nyquist in the end to save me the money, which allows me to go 4 deep in the Woodford Reserve, will allow me to go 4 deep in the Met Mile, and then maybe I'll only go 2 or 3 deep in the first race rather than going 60.
The advantage of doing what we do is that we don't necessarily. We play the ticket as a group for our audience. We do play it every week, as I mentioned previously, but we're also able to play our own individual tickets and play against the group. And if you're willing to, so anything is possible, and it may be. I don't know. Is it possible that we can't? This may be a first that we can't come to any kind of consensus on who we want to toss. In any of the other races, are we? I don't know. I'm just bringing it up. It's never happened, but
yeah. No, we've always been. We've been there. We did this once before. We played 3. Our individual tickets, and you can send me your selections, and we can go ahead and show you the 3 broke guys, not together as a consortium, but actually our individual tickets, and we'll do our recaps based on that. Versus in my opinion, throwing just a slaughter of cash at this. And there's some choices that are in this picture, this pick right now that don't necessarily jive with, I think, how we all probably handicap, which includes, putting in favorites, but then going 5 or 6 deep, which we know that's pretty expensive.
Oh no, Rich, I completely agree with you, and like I said,
to cover yourself, basically. That's what.
But the one thing about handicapping is that generally you're rewarded for your opinions, and right now it doesn't look like in any race other than Exaggerator, we really have a firm opinion. I think we can all pretty much say we all like Calculator on some level.
Yeah. So
he would probably be our other. The closest that we would get to a single. Again, I just wonder why. Like you, Rich, I wonder what Chad Brown's argument is for Flincher here.
Yeah.
And at 8 to 5. And again, it's funny because I go back to one of the comments that we had on our YouTube's channel. And by the way, if you're commenting and you feel like you need to weigh in on this subject, please send us a comment on YouTube to let us know your opinion. But we're wrong more often than we're right.
Yeah.
Look at the training. Chad Brown wins 26% of the time, which means he's wrong. He's wrong 3 out of 4 times. Of course, if he runs 1, 2, 3 in every race, I guess he'll deal with that. But we have just as much right to be wrong as anybody.
Yeah. Some of my picks, I'm taking chances on. Some of my picks, I'm taking chances on that they run well. You don't know. You just don't know.
Well,
and trying to get a price, it's easy to pick all favorites. But we're all taking chances, and we have 120 right now.
180 right
now.
now.
No, we're at 180 right now.
I mean,
3 by 6, 6 by 5 is 30. 6 by 2 is 12. So that's 360 combinations at 50-cent interval. So it's 180.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I know, like you said, Rich, with Exaggerator, second in the Derby, he's a length and a half from almost winning a Triple Crown. So, I mean, if we have to pare down, we'll pare down that one, we'll go down to $9 ticket. So, and we keep all the same horses. But, you know, it don't have to be created to beat us. It could be someone else. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That's
sure.
Creator hasn't won a race since what? The Derby. So.
To be honest, I think I don't want to speak for you, Rich, but I'm basically thinking what Rich is talking. Rich's biggest argument, I think, about this ticket is flincher. Thinking we're going 6 deep in a race where his opinion of flincher is very strong, and he doesn't think we should nearly go that deep.
Right.
And we could stay too deep in the last, or we can even single. I mean,
when I started, I told you we can either single him or don't go deep. Yeah, one or two. Yeah, right. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm going to take a guess, Rich. If you had to put a ticket together right now, you would go deep in race 8, deep in race 9, and single in the last 2 legs. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
No, I'd probably use the 4 Chad Browns.
Okay, so you would. So if you. So you would go. So you would go 6 by 5. So if we went 6 by 5 by 4 by 1, that would be a $60 ticket, right? 6 by 5 is 30. By 4 is 120. So basically, we would have the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 10 in race 10, and only Exaggerator in race 11. Keep everybody else in race 8 and race 9. Because remember, we're tossing both Frosted and Noble Bird in the Met Mile, and they're the 2 morning line favorites. Who's Rich? Oh, we have the other Chad Brown, morning line favorite in race 8. Actually, I wanted to
hang on for them. Let me see if I get this right. So take out the 1 on this one and take off the 6 on. No.
Yes. Yes. Okay, Chad Brown only had. I was looking at the Just a Game, and Chad Brown only has 2 in there, and I kind of wonder why is he slacking.
Okay, what was the other one?
That's because he ran 3 today.
Yeah. So is that right? You were saying 2, 3, 5, 10 in the 10,
2, 3,
and then
what do I get today?
And just Exaggerator in the Belmont. That would get us to a $60 ticket. 6 by 5 by 4 by 1. Sort of the same strategy we used to get to on the Preakness Day when Exaggerator beat Nyquist.
Yeah, I mean that works. That's actually even over the top of my ticket.
Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I know you're throwing out Ironicus, but at that price, I'll probably agree with you, Joe. I mean, at that price, if it was 10, 12 to 1, I want to keep it.
Yeah, no, believe me, absolutely.
You're probably right. I think so.
And here's the other, and part of my problem with throwing him out is, I mean, I would throw him out for the reasons I mentioned.
Yeah.
And again, he's going to be, I guess throwing him out to me is easier because he's 4 to 1.
Yeah.
If he was, and here's the other thing, we don't know that he's going to be 4 to 1. He could actually drift up.
I wouldn't think. I would.
Only because.
No,
not just Flincher, because Chad Brown.
Yeah, Brown.
Yeah. Right.
Because his 4 horses are probably going to take action. Wake Forest just won a race over this track 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
These
morning lines are very, very, very weird.
You gotta look up mine. I did I've got.
It was. I mean, that.
Grade 1 win is a 10 to 1. I mean, that's wild. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
That's why. Yeah. And that's why I mean, if if I run, and here's I guess part of the problem is with us is this in this case is the morning line.
Yeah.
Because if
True.
Wake Forest was 4-1 and Ironicus was 10-1, we would probably have to. Well, I mean, because I know Ray likes Ironicus, but I mean, I would still include Wake Forest at 4-1, based on what we saw in the Man of War.
Yeah.
The odds wouldn't dictate that, but the odds dictate, unfortunately, in this case, that we have to make cuts, and Ironicus would be the horse or one of the. To be honest, I'd rather have World Approval at 10-1 or Divisadero at 8 than Ironicus at 4. It's about value. It's you can't take the worst of it every time. I mean, it's funny because when we were at the track when we were live to Nyquist at Pimlico, and we're like, what was it? Pick 4 is like $80 some odd. I'm like, man, we spent. I'm like, for $80 some odd, that was it. It's like, wow, because when all the favorites come in, and if Flincher happens to win, I mean, if all the favorites come in, we're probably going to be out because Frosted will probably win that race. He would win. He would win the Met Mile if the favorites win, so it wouldn't matter. But I mean, it's hard when you get second choice favorite. You're not. I mean, especially if you're spending $60 or $80 or $180. I mean, you can't. I don't want to spend $180 on a ticket and it comes back $90. I'd rather lose in that case. Right. I'd rather just not have Frosted and lose and watch the ticket pay $90.
Okay.
I'm the king of going 7 deep and having the favorite win. It just
you're not alone in that, my friend. You may be the king, but you have plenty of company.
Oh yeah.
It drives me crazy. It drives me crazy when it happens.
And that's why it's like, for me, like I said, and my personal opinion would be, if I had to take a shot, I would be, again, and it's not like Rich was saying, it's not necessarily second-itis. I would just my opinion would be to toss Flincher altogether in that race, and hope to get a price. And I might do like a daily double. Because I know you like to do this, right? You'll bet a daily double. You'll bet 5 or 6 deep in the race prior to the main event, and you want to be alive to the main event in the double. And I could be more than willing to do that and toss both Flincher and Ironicus, and if I can get 8-1 on everybody else who I have, absolutely. I'm in.
Absolutely.
Believe me, if somehow I can get away from the birthday party and pizza and tokens and whatever long enough to see what the board looks like before the Manhattan, if I see all my horses at 8-1 or better, you can bet your ass I'll bet a part wheel with all the Chad Browns except Flincher. I might even put in World Approval and Divisadero to exaggerate her in the double.
Listen, I'll text you 15 minutes to post. Don't worry.
There you go.
You get the snapshot. Bing.
I'm going to set my alarm right now.
You get the snapshot. 15 minutes to post. How the odds, Joe? I'm
gonna set my alarm right now. But I mean, so like I said, I would take the stand against Flincher, but I'm not. I mean, for the betterment of the group, I will. Let me just make sure I write down this ticket.
That's what I was gonna say. Let me just make sure I got these correct here. So I've got in race 8. I've got the 2.
Joe, you mentioned Divisadero.
I mentioned him only in passing, only because he won the race. And he beat World Approval, but World Approval was on our ticket and Divisadero was not. That's the only reason I mentioned it.
I know.
Go ahead. We've got in race 8, which is just the gem. We've got the 2, the 5, the 7, the 8, the 10, and the 12. In race 9, that's the Met Mile. We've got the 2, the 7, the 8, the 11, and the 12. And then in race number 10, and that's the Manhattan Stakes, and we've got the 2, the 3, the 5, and the 10. And in the finale, in the Belmont Stakes, we are singling with the 11.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you guys did get my text earlier about the 2 scratches from the Met Mile. It obviously did not affect any of our picks, but both El Kabir and Sloan Avenue were scratched out of the Met Mile.
All right. Have you? You've got all that, so I'll go ahead and stop my screen share if I can find my.
Yes, I have it all. I have it written down, sir.
So we're keeping Big Blue Kitten.
Yes, we're keeping Big Blue Kitten.
Yeah,
so we're keeping the Chad Brown Superfecta.
Okay.
Because, like I said, it would not really. I don't think it would really surprise any of the three of us if they ran 1, 2, 3, 4. Now would it?
All right, gentlemen. I believe that's all the time we have for tonight. For those of you who are out there who are watching, thank you for staying the extra 20 minutes that it took us to get through the Belmont card. Really difficult sequence for us, so it took us just an extra 20 minutes. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Always
yes,
a pleasure.
I agree. And it's funny. Opinions make great days like this. Styles make good fights. If we can acknowledge the passing of both Muhammad Ali and another guy who used to fight a lot, Gordie Howe.
Yes.
Within the last 7 days. But yeah, no, it's always fun. I look forward to it. I'm exhausted. I stayed up till 1 o'clock last night, and we had an earthquake last night. I don't know if Ray was aware of it. I'm not sure if Rich was aware of it.
Oh yes, I was.
Okay, because I was up. I was up until about 1 o'clock last night.
Oh yeah, no.
And I'm exhausted. But honestly, I wouldn't miss this for just about anything.
Absolutely.
Good night, all.
All right, for those of you who are watching, if you enjoyed our show, we're going to be back next week, and we are going to get together and take a look at yet another exciting card. We're actually heading back to Churchill Downs, and it is the Stephen Foster and the Fleur de Lis cards. So you got a couple of grade ones that we'll take a look at back in Kentucky. For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp, and thank you for watching Three Broke Guys Handicapping, and good night.
Good night.
Three, 2, 1. I still see live, so.
Not live. And if you still have money, it still bases 12 and 13.